How to never get angry or bothered by anyone. Hello, ladies, gentlemen. Let me ask you a question. How often do you find yourself angry at someone? A rude driver, a difficult colleague, a frustrating friend? And how often do you allow that anger to consume you? Now, here's the truth. Anger is a choice. Being bothered by others is a choice. And like any choice, we can choose differently. Most of us have, at some point, felt personally attacked by the actions of others. Someone cuts us off in traffic, and we immediately assume they are inconsiderate or were trying to upset us. A colleague at work dismisses our idea in a meeting, and we think they are intentionally undermining us. A friend forgets to call us back, and we assume they don't care. But here's the reality: most of the time, people aren't doing things to us, they are just doing things. When we take everything personally, we create unnecessary stress in our lives. We assume people's actions are deliberate attacks when, in fact, they are simply the result of their own circumstances, emotions, or habits. Imagine someone rushing past you in a grocery store without saying, "Excuse me." It's easy to think they are rude or disrespectful. But what if they are just having a bad day? What if they just got a call about a family emergency? What if they are lost in thought, completely unaware of how their actions are perceived? When we change our perspective and stop assuming that people's behaviors are aimed at us, we free ourselves from a significant amount of anger and frustration. Instead of seeing the world as a place where others are constantly trying to inconvenience us, we start to recognize that everyone is simply moving through their own challenges. We are all the main characters in our own stories, and sometimes we forget that others are not thinking about us as much as we think they are. A powerful shift happens when we begin to reframe situations with this understanding. Let's take a workplace example. Suppose your manager seems unusually short with you one morning. The natural instinct is to think, did I do something wrong? Are they mad at me? You start overanalyzing every interaction, feeling uneasy for the rest of the day. But what if you took a different approach? Instead of assuming their mood was caused by something you did, you consider the possibility that they are dealing with their own stress. Maybe they had a difficult meeting before seeing you. Maybe they are overwhelmed with deadlines. Maybe they didn't even realize they came across as abrupt. The moment you stop personalizing their behavior, you remove the emotional burden from yourself. This shift in mindset doesn't just make us feel better, it also improves our relationships. When we assume the worst about people's intentions, we respond defensively, which can escalate conflicts and create unnecessary tension. But when we assume neutrality or even kindness, we give people the benefit of the doubt. This opens the door for healthier interactions, better communication, and stronger connections. Think about how children behave. A young child might throw a tantrum, scream, or say something hurtful, but as adults, we don't take it personally. We understand that the child is expressing frustration in the only way they know how. In a way, the same principle applies to adults. Many people act out due to their own struggles, insecurities, or lack of self-awareness. It has nothing to do with us. Recognizing this allows us to be more patient, compassionate, and most importantly, less affected by the negativity of others. At the end of the day, how we interpret the actions of others determines how we feel. If we choose to see every interaction as an attack, we will constantly feel under siege. But if we choose to believe that people are simply acting out of their own realities, not ours, we can move through life with more ease, less anger, and a greater sense of inner peace. The power to not be bothered by others isn't about changing them, it's about changing how we see them. It's easy to react with frustration when someone annoys us, ignores us, or treats us unfairly. Our instinct is often to take offense, get defensive, or respond with irritation. But what if, instead of reacting with anger, we reacted with curiosity? What if, instead of assuming the worst about people, we tried to understand where they were coming from? Shifting from ego to empathy changes everything. Imagine a scenario where a colleague constantly interrupts you during meetings. Your first reaction might be, they don't respect me. They're trying to undermine me. That interpretation fuels frustration. But what if you pause and ask yourself, why do they feel the need to interrupt? Maybe they are insecure and feel they need to prove themselves. Maybe they come from a background where interrupting is a normal part of conversation. Maybe they aren't even aware of how their behavior affects others. The moment you stop assuming bad intent and start considering their perspective, your emotions change. Instead of anger, you feel curiosity. Instead of frustration, you feel patience. Empathy is one of the most powerful tools we have for staying calm in difficult situations. It allows us to see beyond the surface of people's actions and recognize that behavior is often a reflection of personal struggles rather than deliberate malice. A rude cashier may not be a bad person, they may just be having a terrible day. A friend who seems distant may not be ignoring you, they may be dealing with stress that you know nothing about. When we shift our mindset from judgment to understanding, we free ourselves from unnecessary resentment. We all want to be understood. We all want people to see beyond our mistakes and recognize our struggles. But the only way to receive that kind of understanding is to offer it to others first. When we lead with empathy, we set the tone for how we want to be treated. Instead of escalating conflicts, we diffuse them. Instead of carrying anger, we let it go. It's important to remember that choosing empathy doesn't mean tolerating toxic behavior. It doesn't mean excusing mistreatment. It simply means recognizing that people's actions are often driven by their own emotions, fears, and experiences rather than a desire to hurt us. When we separate someone's behavior from their intentions, we gain the ability to respond thoughtfully instead of impulsively. We often believe that our emotions are controlled by the people around us. Someone says something rude and we immediately feel anger. Someone cuts us off in traffic and frustration builds inside us. A friend forgets to check in on us and we feel hurt. But the truth is, no one has the power to control how we feel unless we let them. Our emotions are our responsibility, and the way we respond to situations is always a choice. Think about a time when someone insulted you. Maybe they made a sarcastic remark or dismissed your opinion. Your instinct might have been to feel offended or to lash out in defense. But what if, instead of reacting emotionally, you chose not to let their words affect you? What if you reminded yourself that their behavior says more about them than it does about you? In that moment, you take back control. You no longer allow their words to dictate your mood. Instead, you choose how to feel. It's not easy to do, but it's a skill that can be developed. The key is understanding that between any action and your reaction, there is always a small space. That space is where your power lies. When something happens, you have a brief moment to decide how you will respond. Will you let anger take over? Or will you pause, breathe, and respond with intention? The more we train ourselves to use that space, the more control we gain over our emotions. Many times, we react to situations without thinking. If someone yells at us, we yell back. If someone is rude, we get defensive. But imagine if we didn't respond with the same energy that was given to us. Imagine if, instead of getting angry, we remained calm. Instead of being bothered, we stayed unshaken. Not because we are suppressing our feelings, but because we recognize that other people's behavior is not our responsibility, our reaction is. There is a story about a wise old man who was constantly insulted by a younger man. No matter what the young man said, the wise man never reacted with anger. One day someone asked him, "Why don't you ever respond to his insults?" The wise man smiled and said, "If someone offers you a gift and you do not accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" The answer, of course, is that it still belongs to the giver. The same is true for anger and negativity. If someone tries to hand you anger, frustration, or hatred, you don't have to accept it. You can simply let it pass. This doesn't mean we should allow people to mistreat us. It means that we don't have to let their behavior dictate how we feel. If someone speaks to you rudely, you can set a boundary without losing your calm. If someone tries to provoke you, you can refuse to engage. The moment you realize that your response is your choice, you gain the ultimate freedom. It's a powerful feeling when you no longer get triggered by others. When someone tries to get under your skin and fails, you realize just how much control you have over your own emotions. The next time you feel yourself reacting impulsively, take a deep breath and remind yourself, "I control how I feel. No one else does." That simple shift in mindset can change your entire life. It allows you to move through the world with peace, confidence, and emotional strength. And once you master this, no one will ever be able to bother you again. Anger is a natural emotion, but when we hold on to it, we are the ones who suffer the most. Often when someone wrongs us, we replay the situation in our minds over and over again, fueling our frustration and resentment. We think about what we should have said, how unfair the situation was, and how much it bothered us. But while we sit with that anger, the other person has likely moved on, completely unaware of the impact their actions had on us. In the end, anger and resentment hurt us far more than they hurt the person who caused them. Think about the last time you were really upset with someone. Maybe they insulted you, betrayed your trust, or dismissed your feelings. At that moment, your emotions felt justified. You may have even thought that holding on to that anger gave you power. But did it? Did it make you feel better? Or did it just weigh you down, consuming your thoughts and energy? The truth is, the longer we hold on to anger, the more it controls us. It doesn't punish the other person, it punishes us. There's a saying, holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. When we refuse to let go of resentment, we allow it to take up space in our minds and affect our mood. It can cause stress, anxiety, and even physical discomfort. Meanwhile, the person we are angry at may not even know or care. They continue with their lives while we are stuck carrying the burden of our own emotions. In reality, anger only has power over us if we let it. One of the most powerful realizations in life is understanding that we don't have to carry emotional baggage that doesn't serve us. Just because someone hurt us doesn't mean we need to hold on to that pain forever. Letting go is not about excusing bad behavior or allowing people to mistreat us. It's about freeing ourselves from the emotional weight that keeps us stuck. Imagine someone cuts you off in traffic. In that moment, you have a choice. You can spend the next 10 minutes replaying the event, fuming with frustration, or you can let it go and continue your day in peace. The driver who cuts you off won't suffer if you choose anger, but you will. Now, apply that same principle to bigger conflicts in life. A friend disappoints you, a coworker takes credit for your idea, a family member is unsupportive. In every situation, you have the power to choose whether you hold on to the negativity or release it. Letting go doesn't mean you ignore your feelings. It means you acknowledge them, process them, and then make a conscious decision to move forward. It means recognizing that your peace of mind is more valuable than holding on to past frustrations. It's about protecting your own well-being rather than allowing someone else's actions to dictate your emotions. One of the best ways to release anger is through perspective. Ask yourself, will this matter a year from now? 5 years from now? Most of the time, the things that anger us are temporary. The things that frustrate us today will be forgotten in the future. By reminding ourselves of the bigger picture, we can avoid wasting energy on things that don't truly matter. At the end of the day, the person who benefits the most from letting go is you. It's not about them, it's about your peace. When you refuse to let anger consume you, you reclaim control over your happiness. You stop allowing others to determine your emotions and you start living with a sense of freedom, and that is a power no one can take away from you. Letting go of what others say or do is one of the most freeing things you can do for yourself. So often we let other people's words, actions, and opinions affect our mood, our peace, and even our self-worth. Someone criticizes us, and we carry that weight for days. A stranger is rude to us, and it ruins our afternoon. A loved one disappoints us, and we dwell on it for weeks. But what if we didn't let these things control us? What if, instead of reacting emotionally, we learn to detach and move forward? The truth is, people will always have opinions. Some will like you and some won't. Some will appreciate you while others will criticize you for no reason. But at the end of the day, what they think and how they act is a reflection of them, not you. You could be the kindest, most thoughtful person in the world, and still someone will find a reason to dislike you. That's not your problem, that's theirs. The moment you understand this, you stop taking things so personally, and life becomes much lighter. It's important to realize that most people act based on their own experiences, emotions, and insecurities. If someone lashes out at you, it's often because they are dealing with their own frustrations, not because you did something wrong. If someone is cold or dismissive, it may have nothing to do with you, they might just be struggling internally. When you shift your mindset to this perspective, you stop giving others so much power over your emotions. Instead of taking offense, you develop understanding. Instead of reacting, you let things go. Imagine you're walking down the street and a stranger shouts an insult at you. You have two choices. You can take it personally, let it upset you, and carry that negativity for the rest of the day. Or you can recognize that this person doesn't actually know you, their words mean nothing, and their behavior is a reflection of them, not you. The second choice is where your power lies. You don't have to accept every opinion or every criticism that comes your way. You get to decide what affects you and what doesn't. This applies not just to strangers, but also to the people closest to us. Sometimes we expect our loved ones to always support and understand us, and when they don't, we feel hurt or frustrated. But even the people we care about are dealing with their own emotions, biases, and struggles. If a friend doesn't show up the way you expected, instead of feeling resentment, consider the possibility that they are dealing with something you don't see. If a family member makes a harsh comment, remind yourself that their words are shaped by their own experiences, not necessarily by the truth. Letting go of other people's behavior doesn't mean you tolerate disrespect or mistreatment. It means you don't allow those things to steal your peace. If someone crosses a boundary, you can address it firmly and move on without holding on to anger. If someone disappoints you, you can adjust your expectations without carrying resentment. When you refuse to let others dictate your emotions, you become unshakable. The most powerful thing you can do is protect your own energy. Every time you react negatively to someone else's actions, you are giving them control over you. But when you stay calm, choose peace, and move forward without attachment, you are in control. Not everyone deserves a reaction. Not everything needs to be taken personally. The more you let go, the freer you become. And that freedom is the key to a truly peaceful and happy life.